Grunge Bible is back. Episode 222 coming to you all across the world. Today is June 23rd, 2025. My name is Chris Salona. I'm here with Ethan Shalloway. Ethan, what's going on? How are we doing?
How you doing, Chris? How is everybody out there in the world? Podcast listeners.
Yeah, enough with us. Like, how's everybody out there doing? Nobody cares.
Just verbalize it right now.
Yeah, no matter where you are, just say like, this is a safe space. Like, if you're not doing too hot, you can let us know. If you're doing well, let us know that too.
Yeah, Michael, I heard that. I'm glad you're doing well. Susan, I hope things get better. I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit of a hectic finish to the week, but nothing we can't handle. You live and learn, live and let die, as they say. So
they have said that before.
I actually have a really interesting, and it kind of sums up my weekend, I guess.
Yeah, you have a story.
A little story, yeah. So
oh yeah,
I have these a pair of Oakley sunglasses that I wear.
Are they like the Pit Viper ones that you have?
They are. Yep.
Yeah.
And I've been wearing them for 4 years now.
Well, I mean, you train in them, you work in them, you drive in them. Like, you might sleep in them too.
I sleep in them. I went to a wedding last week and I wore them the whole time during the wedding. And the next morning when I was leaving, I was also hungover, so I had my shades down when I went to say bye.
Yeah.
And the parents of the bride was like, "Oh, still the shades on." And I was like, "Oh yeah, shades don't come off, baby."
Keeping a low profile.
I was like, "The shades stay on." So. These things, they were from the Tokyo Olympics. They were actually Team USA issued.
Oh, hell yeah.
And one of my teammates, didn't want them, so she begrudgingly gave them to me, but I paid her like $100 or something.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's honorable.
I was like, oh, thank you. And she's like, yeah. She's like, well, $100. I was like, okay. She just grifting all of her stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Different story. So I had these, and I really liked them. Because I was like, you'll never wear them. I was like, your face isn't built for it, but me, I think I can pull them off.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I know better than to try to pull a pair of those sunglasses off.
So just 2 weeks ago, honestly, the wedding, I was like, at this point, it's been a couple of years, and I wear them to warm up. I wear them like they're kind of a part of my thing, my shtick.
Yeah, kind of who you are now.
And me and my brother always said, like, why buy nice sunglasses? You're just going to lose them. And I was like, yeah, but if you have a nice pair, you're not going to lose them. And then this pair I've had for a while, and I was like, I haven't lost them. So this is a good thing. So we're working. I actually wear them. They're all scratched up. I mean, they've been through hell and back.
Yeah.
And that's why they're great, because they're pretty like the legs or whatever, the what are they called? Arms,
I have no idea what to call them, but I know what you're talking about.
Arms or legs, whatever.
The glasses arms.
Yeah, they've popped off, and I thought I broke them. Like I've
oh man,
smashed them, but they just pop in and pop out.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, these things are great, and we were loading up for the end of the day, and I was in the trailer, and I was putting in some branches. I work with the tree service, and one of the guys was handing me stuff, and I was throwing them over, and I must have knocked him off my face, yeah. And I had recently he had to borrow them because he wasn't wearing them, because these guys, they don't realize that a hat and sunglasses extend your lifetime on the job by 25%.
Yeah.
If it's sunny, you gotta be wearing shades and a hat. And these guys, they don't wear them because they don't, they don't think like normal people.
They've got other priorities. They're fighting other battles.
So I get in the truck, and we're 10 minutes down the road, and I do one of these, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
I was like, where are they? And I was like, I think I left them on the job. And I'm like, oh, maybe, I was in the trailer. I was like, maybe they're in the trailer.
Right.
So I was like, okay. So I'm ready. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get there. And I was like, man, what's 10 minutes if I have to drive back? I go back, and I scrummage through a little bit, and I find them.
No kidding.
And they're intact. And I'm like, this is great. I was like, you son of a bitch, you did it. They're back, and
cheat death.
Yeah, but I just cheated death. So it's Friday, we get paid, it's good, and I go to practice. And as you know, I had a pretty overwhelming practice, emotional, because I almost blew out my leg, my ankle and my knee. I slid and blocked, and it was really weird. And
yeah, the video was gnarly. Maybe the video will be a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah. I was thinking about putting on my story, just because it's just interesting and just to, you know, serve as a lesson for those to do your prehab.
For the kids.
But like I made it out, so I'm like, you know, it's just one of those days, or you know, it was just kind of a culminating thing. It just got me. My mind was racing, and so I went. I was talking to my teammate, and I took my shades off. I was putting everything in my car, and I put them on the top of my car.
Oh man.
Yeah, and you know this is going. So I finish, and I don't even
Fool
think
me
about
once.
it. I don't even think about it. So I drive off, and then I get to right to get on the main street, and I have to pull out, you know. So I accelerate.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I hear this noise, and in my rear view, I see the
You
glasses.
saw them.
I see the glasses hitting on the ground, and I was like, fuck. I was like, no, not that. Not this, no,
Yeah.
you know. So luckily, this road is full of like turnarounds. So I pull up, I turn around, I speed up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're sitting in the middle, like not in the middle of the road, but like on the left.
Somebody's
side,
gonna hit those sunglasses
on the left side of the thing. I swear to you, I pull in, they're right in front of me. My car is like, you know, perpendicular to the lane. I pull in, I put it in park. I can't get out. I can't get out in time for the first car. The first car zooms by. Doesn't hit him. I'm like, oh my gosh. Next car is like not far behind. It comes so close that the sunglasses move like 5 feet in front and, you know, don't get hit. I get out of my car. There's one last car to miss. I pull up. I swear to you, it was like he did it on purpose. He runs right over them, smashes them, blow up. And I'm just like, I was like, fuck. I was like, no. I was like, oh, I was like, what the hell is going on? And, dude, I went up, I went and looked, and I was like, wait a minute. The arms and legs are not broken. They just popped off. The lens has popped out, but it's not broken. And then the frame of the glass is bent at the top, and it is broken, but it's like it's not destroyed. And I was like, oh my gosh, all these pieces. So I have all my son. I try to put it back together, and like it's really not going to hold it together well. Like I think it is a rest in peace situation. But my coworker, he said, I guess maybe Oakley has a lifetime guarantee. So I'm gonna take a picture, send an email, and plead my case, and you know, see if they send another pair. And just like, hey, I've had these for a long time. They've put up a great fight. They've been through a lot, and like this is as much sentimental as like I'm not trying to pull one over on you guys. Like I just, you know, I need this one right now. Do you guys have an extra pair?
Yeah.
But like, you know, I'm glad that I didn't lose them.
Right.
I got to see my baby. You know, I get to see my baby die in front of me. If you know, basically holding it in my arms. So like, if that's the way it has to go.
Well, and that's what it is. I mean, you sustain. They sustained a casualty on the battlefield, but we don't leave our men behind in the field.
No, a proper burial is.
That's the thing. Like, you know, you're trying to nurse them back, but obviously, you know, when they're in the field hospital, there's no guaranteeing what's going to happen. You know, but I'm glad that they're with you.
Back to the family, back to Oakley itself.
Yeah, exactly. Write a story like I was I was in charge of these on this day when they made the ultimate sacrifice. That's tough.
There's
Hopefully.
A lot of things I could write in the obituary for this one.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully they I always take the opportunity, like if I break something or if I, you know, am somehow responsible for an item's demise, like these companies are so big, you know, you never know when you're going to get lucky with a freebie. Like I've done that before with, you know, just about everything, like my weightlifting equipment. Like I'll beat the hell out of my weightlifting belt and like it'll break, and then I'll be like, hey, like, you know, I've only had this for 8 months and like this part broke. Like, do you think you could, you know, is this still covered by the warranty? Right. And, you know,
take a shot.
Yeah, that's, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. Just like Josh Homme asking if he can play a show in the Paris Catacombs, you know, until you ask, the answer is always going to be no. But I'm glad that you have them, and we'll have to keep updated on if Mr. Oakley is able to you know, shine his bright light upon you.
That's right. Closed mouths don't get fed. So
that's the thing.
Mr. Oakley, if you're out there listening, those sunglasses, you guys really are the you know, the top-notch Ferrari of the industry. And I would be remiss if I said I don't miss these things already, and I don't want to part ways
Yeah.
I think Oakley. I think they've proven themselves on the field. So
I
like,
think so. Clearly, with I mean, how much you've worn them, you
oh
just
yeah,
hate to say goodbye. But you always, even if it was out of the warranty, I still say you have to ask. Like I just had an experience. I think yesterday actually. There's a band that myself and my friends absolutely love that we've talked about before on the show called the Truck Fighters, and they just announced a short U.S. tour in August. So the announcement hit, and they're opening up in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is the show that we would go to. So it's the first day on the tour. So I sent the link in the group chat to buy tickets, and I already bought my ticket. Like as soon as they went online, I bought them, and then I have it in my possession, and lo and behold, my friends start talking about like we should buy the VIP tickets. Like we don't know what it entails, but we need to buy them. But I had already purchased the normal ticket, and in big black bold face letters, all purchases final, no transfers, no refunds. But I sent an email. I was like, hey. I erroneously purchased the wrong ticket. I meant to buy the VIP ticket. Is there any way we could cancel this
right.
transaction? And sure enough, they canceled it for me. So
That's right.
you never know. You have to put some skin in the game, and you have to ask.
Another lesson I learned is you can cancel anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
I mean,
can always
all
cancel.
the war stories you have about getting a non-refundable, non-transferable
Yeah.
airline ticket resolved for free.
Yeah. Like
There's
I said,
always an
I
opportunity.
man, I have another good story about the time we went to book a hotel and we booked through like we were in the hotel booking, and it was like cheaper on Priceline. I was like, and I was asking the lady, I was like, what if I book through Priceline, it's cheaper? And she's like, yeah, but it's final. Like we can't do anything once it goes to them. I was like, I need to
Right.
stay here tonight. Like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
You know? I
What
was like,
could
okay.
possibly change?
Right, what could possibly change? Sure enough, I bought the ticket. I swear to you, someone that we know came down the elevator. Was like, "Oh my gosh, you're staying?" She's like, "Don't
Oh
buy." She's like, "Don't buy."
no.
She's like, "Don't buy a room. I have an extra room. Like someone just canceled."
Oh no.
And I looked at the person. She's like, "Nothing I can do." And I was like, "We literally just bought." She's like, "Cancel it." I was like, "I can't." She's like, "Oh, baby, you can cancel anything." And I was like, "She's like, call your credit card company right now." And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"All right." So I
Dispute the
handed her.
transaction.
So I handed her the phone, and it was like when you ask your girlfriend to tell the waiter that that you're upset. I just gave it to this one of the moms, and she took care of it. You can cancel anything.
Yeah, that's hey.
You
Sometimes you
gotta
have to have the
try.
tenacity to do this
You do. You do.
sometimes.
You just can't take no for an answer.
Yeah, but I appreciate the story of these sunglasses, and I can't help
Hmm.
but think that the journey that those glasses have been on the last 48 hours is in a lot of ways analogous to I think where we're both at right now and how we're feeling.
Yeah, it's so funny how like inanimate objects, like you become attached to them, especially if you've had things for a long time and you have no idea. Like this is my lucky hat. Like
Yeah,
it's been places. Like the sleeping bag analogy we use. Like the sleeping bag has been around the
yeah.
world, and although I need a new one, like this one is on the
Well,
trail
and
type of thing. And
objectively, it's not a big deal, right? Because it's like
of course,
$100 pair of sunglasses or whatever. Like I was traveling in the this past winter, and I left my water bottle at the
yeah,
terminal in Newark Airport, which like it's like a $60 water bottle. It's not a big deal. I've had it for 6 years. Like it was dented, whatever. But I was like, that's my water bottle. Like that's mine. Like
stickers.
there are
Yeah,
many like it, but this one is mine. And I went out and looked for it. It wasn't there, and I mourned it for for a few days. It's
yeah.
tough. You hate to see him
S-
go.
Since you brought that up, I don't want to just pile on, but we worked the job today, and sure enough, my water bottle, my coworker moved it. It was like, and he put it on his bumper, and I
Yeah.
pulled up, and I got home, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't take it off his bumper.
Yeah.
So it's either right there when he pulled off, or it's somewhere along the road, and I got to decide if I got to go back and look for it or
Mm-hmm.
not.
Yeah.
But same thing, it's like this water bottle that easily replaceable, and it has all the dents and stuff, but it has the stickers, and it has
Yeah.
it's my
Yeah.
water bottle.
You hate to give something
It's my
like
water
that up
bottle.
voluntarily.
Yeah, without a fight.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think it's like, if I choose to throw this out or
Of
recycle it or
course.
whatever, that's on me. But, I want to be the one to make that decision. I'm not going to let the forces of nature decide that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I
So,
was happy that I at least got to see my sunglasses
yeah.
have its demise. So,
100%. Yeah. So it sounds like you've had a pretty trying week in a lot of different ways.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
man.
I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of that, right? I mean, we're here for a specific reason, and today it's recording a new episode for the Grunge Battle podcast. I'm very excited. We have an interesting episode. We made a pivot in the last 24 hours. We were going to try a new segment and we've done this before. Me and Chris have synced up and watched either a documentary on, Shannon Hoon, or we watched Into the Wild, and then we gave our thoughts on it, and we thought it might be time to dust off the old movie review because we've been kind of itching to do one, and we haven't done a movie review in a while, but then something popped into. I guess I don't know. Were you just scrolling, or how were you reminded of the
I'd
album
been
here?
aware of it, and it's funny because I just went to Queens of the Stone Age like last week, and my friends and I were talking about the Alive in the Catacombs project that they did, and between going to the show and yesterday, like a couple of people DM'd like, "Hey, have you listened to this yet? Like, I saw you just at the show. Like, what do you think of it? Are you guys gonna talk about it on the podcast or anything?" And in that moment, I was like, "Hell yeah! Like, we got to do that sometime." But 2 hours later, when we hopped on our weekly planning call for the episode, it completely escaped my mind until this morning. I got out of the gym, and on my Spotify homepage, it was there, and it kind of jogged my memory, obviously, because it was right in front of me. So I made the call into you, and you decided that we should hit it while the iron's hot. It was just the EP was just released on June 13th, so it's pretty new. The film neither of us have seen yet. It came out on June the 5th. But I think we're gonna have to circle back and watch that documentary about it because everything that I've learned about this project and listening to it, 3 or 4 times today alone, I need more of this. It's a super super cool project, and nobody else has done something like this in the Paris catacombs. So legally at least, and certainly no band of the level of Queens of the Stone Age has done something like this. So it felt like a good topic to roll into today.
Yeah, it would be fun. Um, Before we do, I'd like to take this time to thank all of our listeners. Every one of you make a difference, whether it be leaving a review, leaving a comment, just to listen. And then some of you take it upon yourself to be even more involved by heading over to Patreon and becoming
Giving us
a
money.
supporter, be a backer to this project. So thank you for the people that have given us money over the years to help this. Because like you said, this is our only sponsor. We've tried a few things. I know Chris, you're drinking a Narragansett beer.
I
And
am indeed.
although we tried to have a beer sponsorship, they weren't having it. I don't even remember. It just didn't work out. So
Yeah, a lot of things don't work out.
a lot of things don't work out exactly, but you got to try.
That's true. Tie in
true.
earlier.
So we have a $2, a $5, and a $10 tier, and then you can always go a little bit higher if you so will, which we have had, as you probably know if you've been listening. So while you're listening, or maybe next week, think about potentially becoming a Patreon member.
Absolutely. So I'd like to thank the members of the top tier that are really shouldering the weight for this podcast. So we start with the top dog. Abraham is the cutest basset hound ever at $18.50. Thank you, Abraham, for your continued support. Right after that, we've got the Cracker Man coming in second place. And then everybody else that comprises the top tier at this time are A Bit Dusty, Black Hole Sean, D-Boat, Doug Endy, Eddie Vedder Got Me Through My Second Divorce, Gochu John, Apona, Heidi in Chains, Jamie Lynn, Jade Mercado, King Buzzo Stole My Hair, Carlene Salona, The Michael Dooley Project, Russell, Nikki Six, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Sherry Matthews, Ultra Mega OK, and What the Fuck is Up Denny's. So thanks everybody for your continued support of this project here, and your support allows us to talk about interesting things such as this new Queens of the Stone Age project. I'll tell you, I've been locked into the Queens of the Stone Age zone. I mean, it's only been like a week and a couple of days since I've seen them, but I think I'm gonna stick in this zone for for a while to come. So definitely looking forward to exploring more, and perfect timing that I'm feeling inspired with it, and we get a new project by them to talk about.
Yeah, basically when everybody texts us with or messages us with grunge is not dead, and then they put their band or some other band in there, it's like, okay, this isn't what people mean when grunge is not dead. It's the Queens of the Stone Age, right? It's going and see like bands like that were there for the time but and still kicking it, making some new stuff that is relevant.
Yeah.
That's the closest we're gonna get to grunge, is listening to Queens, listening to like Foo, listening to honestly Pearl Jam.
Yeah,
still
because I mean,
releasing
like
stuff.
grunge is as dead as the 6 million people in the
Right.
catacombs, but it's the people that draw on those experiences and just make good music. Like I care. Obviously we talk about this all the time, but I care less and less about what something is called in terms of genres. I think that only matters if like you're working like at a record store or something. You got to classify everything. Otherwise, like there's good music and there's not good music, and there's music you like and there's music you don't like. And certainly, this is going to be some music that we like today that we will get into.
Well, that's a good tie into the first This Day in Music, music that we
Yes,
don't like.
because I know you love this type of music right here. I'll lead in and I'll just
Yeah.
tee it up to you because you obviously
I
had
mean,
some
I
had
think
some
you have the
thoughts
same
here.
feelings.
Yeah,
but
we've got the same
I'll
feeling.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
so
wear it on my shield.
yeah, man. So this is This Day in Music for June 23rd. A unbelievably light day on the This Day in Music calendar. So kind of had to scrape, the sides of the container for this one. And one piece that we were able to scrape off the sides is that today is the birthday of Jason Mraz, who was born on June 23rd, 1977. And if you're saying who the fuck is Jason Mraz, me too. But he is the singer and I think the songwriter of that absolutely abysmal and abhorrent song from 2008, I think, called "I'm Yours." Which is just a perfect soundtrack
2
to
billion listens.
recession era America when everybody was losing their homes to foreclosure and all of the stores were going out of business and people were out of work. But we had the sweet sounds of Jason Mraz to comfort us through all of those existential crises nearly 20 years ago. And Ethan, what do you have to say, I suppose, about the type of music that Jason Mraz makes and also, that type of music that other people certainly make?
Oh man, it's just you could picture it now wearing his fedora, or okay, I don't want to offend anybody that likes fedoras, but I can picture it now as fedora, kind of like unbuttoned, kind of half sleeveless or half sleeve shirt. I guess just regular sleeves, but button up, and just the soft rock, and just not good. I don't know, man. There's something about that type of music. Like you said, it's like something you hear when you're in TJ Maxx, and you just like it just makes you want to leave even more. I don't know. It was super big during the time, and it's not that interesting. And it makes me think of like the Bruno Marses. I really did not like Bruno Mars back in the day. Didn't really like his voice, and I think my girlfriend had a crush on him, and I was like, "Why do you have a crush on Bruno Mars?"
Then again, at that time, Ethan, a lot of people had crushes on Jason Mraz and the like. So
Did you?
certainly, I did not. No.
It's true. I mean, he had the song "I'm Yours," so I mean, he was a heartthrob. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just jealousy speaking, but
Yeah, perhaps.
I don't know. It's a very there's certain types of music that just grind your gears, and
Yeah.
that's one of them.
Hey, you can't
it's like,
support everything.
it's like the commercial pop singer songwriter attempt at acoustic guitar driven solo projects. Sometimes I don't know. Solo projects are tough for me, but we'll get it. I'm glad that John Mayer joined the Dead, because I mean he was much better in a lot of ways.
Oh,
but there was-
100%. Yeah,
but
his
there was
solo
a- there
stuff's
was-
good.
Yeah, his solo stuff is good. But I remember being on the fence about John Mayer
Sure.
like a little bit in the beginning. But
Yeah.
he's way cooler than Jason Mraz.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're cooler than Jason Mraz.
Yeah. Well, sorry to take too much time on Jason Mraz, but I'm
That's all right.
assuming that I bet you people are listening have.
I'm sure
similar
people
thoughts.
know. Yeah,
Have
exactly.
similar thoughts. Okay, 1979, LT LaDainian Tomlinson is born, the record holder for most rushing touchdowns in a season with 28. Absolute wagon for your fantasy football team. That was in 2006. 13,684 rushing yards in his career with 145 tutties. And big sports guys here at the Grunge Hall podcast. I remember watching him. He was in the division with the Chiefs, and
Oh, yeah.
dude was a problem. And you watch his his mixtape and all this stuff, and I don't know how you could argue, like, he's top 5 RB of all time. People love the old guys, and they're always going to put the Jim Browns and the Barry Sanders and maybe the O.J. Simpson, people in the conversation, but LT should be there.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when this happened because Sean Alexander with the Seahawks at the time had broken the record.
Another wagon.
I think 1 or 2 years prior to LT. And then before Sean Alexander, I think Priest Holmes had it for like a year. It was either Priest Holmes. Larry Johnson was up there too. He had a crazy
Both
year
really
too.
solid.
But I felt like every single year, somebody was pounding the rock and scoring 25 plus touchdowns on the
Which is a
ground.
lot.
You don't see that anymore.
No, not really. It's almost 2 a game back in the day.
Yeah.
It's 4 away from 2 a game. So, yeah, I mean, big ups to LT, Hall of Famer, top
Oh, yeah.
5 of all time.
Big ups. Last event on June 23rd, back into the music world. On this day in 2016, a great controversy was resolved in the courts. Led Zeppelin, they were going through a court battle regarding the writing status and potential plagiarization of Stairway to Heaven. And the allegation was that a band called Spirit, in 1968, they wrote a song called Taurus, which had an acoustic style intro that is very similar to the acoustic intro to Stairway to Heaven. But in 2016, a jury ruled that they are not guilty. That Led Zeppelin was not guilty of plagiarizing Stairway to Heaven from Taurus, from the song Taurus by Spirit. It was sent back to trial on a technicality in 2018, but the case was dismissed, and the acquittal, I guess, for lack of a better term, was upheld in 2020. And those guys are continuing to hold the rights and did not plagiarize it.
You know who's kicking rocks here in this right now?
What?
The men over at the Verve Industries. Considering we just
yeah, that was last week we talked about that, right?
We did last week. We just talked about how Bittersweet Symphony, they had to pay royalties to, was it the Stones or was it
Yeah, it was the Stones.
Yeah, it had to pay royalties for the Stones. They lost $10 million because they said, they claimed it or whatever. So yeah, who knows? I mean, Spirit would be, obviously they'd be good for they'd be set for multiple lifetimes if they could have had rights to this.
Oh yeah, damages. There's a lot of damages
yeah,
to be had, and certainly people with deep pockets such as Led Zeppelin, there would be a lot that you could get from them. But nevertheless, they upheld the integrity behind everything Led Zeppelin did, as if Jimmy Page didn't lift so many of his licks from Robert Johnson. But it's a story for another day, as we like to say. But that's about it. That's this day in music for June 23rd.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, man. So now it's
Dude,
time
I'm getting hot sitting here. I just pops this in. I got this little spotlight on me.
Yeah, the spotlight's tough, and we're officially at the time of year. We've been lucky so far in June that we've been recording at days and times where it hasn't been super, super hot, being in the attic in which I live. But I had, for the audio integrity and for your listening pleasure out there, I had to turn off my air conditioning units to provide the most optimal sound for the listeners out there. So it's pretty toasty in here. I think it's 86 Fahrenheit outside. I can't see what it is in here, but I think it's at least that. But it just comes with the territory here.
Chris,
a little warm as well.
We've done an episode. I think we've done multiple episodes with our shirts off. I know we did at least.
Oh, we definitely did. Yeah.
We definitely did. And you know that Friday was the first day of summer, so yesterday.
Yeah, longest day of the year too, I believe.
Longest day of the year. So in honor of that, I'm taking off my shirt.
You taking the lid off? Absolutely, man.
I'm not
you're already ready. You're
yeah.
You're already ready, dude.
This is not premeditated, but I'm hot right now.
No, that's pretty
Chris,
good.
You gonna join me?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I have to.
All right, I'll talk while you.
Yeah, because I gotta. I wasn't ready to plug and play that just as quickly as you were.
You hit the gym this morning, so you're
exactly. I got the pump going. Yeah. So the floor is yours, Ethan.
Yeah. Nah, this is important. Like I said, we've done it before. We've popped the shirts off, and honestly, what it comes down to is our YouTube needs some more hits. We haven't, our YouTube subscriber count's up at 1.7 thousand, but we need some more. So we're gonna go.
That's the thing. Exactly.
We're gonna have to.
I had a big day at the gym here, man. I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh, dude, yeah, the traps are popping.
Oh yeah.
I feel better, dude.
I feel better too, because I have a little fan situation in front of me because it's not too loud, so it feels a lot better. It doesn't have to penetrate the cotton shirt that I was wearing beforehand.
That's
so
right. It weighs you down. So
yeah, dude.
Now we can talk more freely. It feels like.
Yeah, we can. So what do you say we get into it?
Yeah,
Queens of the Stone Age, Alive in the Catacombs. So I don't think I was aware of this project, and I don't know how publicized it was prior to like the lead up of the release of this, but they recorded this on July 8th, 2024 in the Paris Catacombs, which if you're not aware, definitely go and look up pictures because it's absolutely wild. But evidently the short version of the long story is that I believe in the 18th century, Paris was having a lot of problems in terms of cemetery overcrowding, common problems that we all deal with day to day. And, the Parisians, in all of their infinite wisdom, they're like, what if we just took the cemetery and put it underground? And that's what they did. And for a long period of time, chances are if you died in Paris, they were putting you underground with you and 5,999,999 of your closest friends, as the estimates are that over 6 million people are buried underneath. And it's just like wall to wall bones and skulls and fragments of
Femurs and
bones.
tibias, and they literally, like, I looked at pictures and it's just like rows of skulls.
Yeah. It's chilling, man.
Which is really chilling to think that, and this was 1700s, that they, got the bones to build this, build hallways and to stack femurs. Like, they're literally stacked on top of each other. I mean, 6 million's a lot. Like, that's going to take up a lot of space. So to take the time to, like, take the remains, I don't know how that process worked, but like, it's, if you think about it, it's mind blowing. And it is, like, it's all there. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Yeah, really quite a ruse if they did that. But
yeah, and like
just stacked on top of each other.
The thing that messes with me about it, and not to get too meta before we even talk about the music itself or this project, but like whenever like I'm confronted with something like that, like I can't help but think, like, say if you see like all of those skulls lined up, like each one of those was a person whose life was as vivid and vibrant to them as mine is to me. And there's just like thousands and thousands of them everywhere you look. Like, it's such an overwhelming thought that it's like, they're just there. And like, I always wonder like what their lives were like and like what they hoped to get out of life and what the good things that happened to them and the bad things that happened to them. And it's just super, super eerie. To think that there's just so many human remains just there, and that you can go and tour them, and there's over 200 miles underground combined of these remains deposits underground in Paris and the surrounding area, which is just a mind-boggling number in the same way that 6 million is. But this is such an interesting project in the sense that like it's so specific of a thing to like see the catacombs and decide that you want to record music down there, and then be able to actually follow through. So Josh has been doing some interviews about this project, for Billboard. He did like a live Q&A on the Queens of the Stone Age Reddit for like an hour and a half and was answering questions. And evidently the story goes that he was in Paris like 20 years ago, and I think he went on a tour of the catacombs. And like at that time, he was like, you know what? It's like, I want to try to get this done. And obviously, this is not an easy thing to do because it's a mass burial site, and I'm sure there's a level of reverence that they like to keep, as it relates to it. So time and time again, whenever they rolled back through their touring, the answer was no, the answer was no, the answer was no. So as Josh tells the story, the Queens of the Stone Age did a feature on a French program called Album of the Week, which is like, a lot of
song of the week, but
yeah, like you go to the studio, you play a bunch of music, and then it goes out over the airwaves. And apparently somebody who was involved in the production and output of Album of the Week was connected with an official in France who was able to kind of channel it to the correct people to get the sign off for the Queens of the Stone Age to do this thing. And Josh tells the story that one time, like, they put in the inquiry or whatever, and in Josh's words, he was like, sometimes I get in trouble, and right before that I had gotten in trouble, and if you looked me up online at the time, like, you had just seen that I'd just gotten into a fist fight in London for something, and they saw that and were like, this is not the kind of guy that we want down, in the catacombs making yeah, exactly,
6 million people.
That's the thing. But thankfully, I guess, the stars aligned, and he was able to accomplish this, which evidently was a dream of his, or was a long-standing aspiration. They had done something similar, I think in 2007 in Germany. They played like 2,000 feet underground in like a salt mine or something. And that project hasn't ever officially been released, but this was not their first experience playing subterranean
Artists,
music. Yeah, and
artists for you do something crazy and never release it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like you just got to keep the people wondering about it. But thankfully, pretty quick turnaround for this one, recording it in
A
July of
year.
yeah, 1 year. And this happened at a crazy time because Queens of the Stone Age canceled the remaining element of their In Times New Roman tour last year, right after this.
It
And
was
pretty
too
much,
much.
yeah, well, Josh was going through like some crazy health things, and he ended up leaving Paris like the next day after they recorded this on July 8th to like come back here for some surgery and stuff. And I don't think he's ever explicitly stated what exactly was wrong with him, but like the way that he talks about it and the way that other people talk about it, it was like kind of like on death's doorstep type thing. Like he was like maybe not going to make it. Like he was in a really, really bad way, which prompted the cancellation of the tour. But this was the last thing that they did last year. So I can only imagine, like, you're going through a bunch of health problems. Like nobody knows exactly what's wrong with you. Like meanwhile, you're just like, you're playing music like amongst tons and tons of dead people.
Yeah,
And
it's
I mean,
great, great marketing.
yeah, exactly. Fantastic marketing. And Josh is he's a funny guy, and he's a really interesting guy. And, in the press releases for this, he was like, it's the biggest audience we've ever played for. And then when they were marketing the accompanying documentary, he had a quote in the material, and he said, if you're ever going to be haunted, surrounded by several million dead people is the place. I've never felt so welcome in my life. And thinking of all the bands that are out there that have, the chops to get something like this done, obviously the connection that like somebody would allow them to do it, and just the track record of success. Like Queens of the Stone Age seems like a very perfect band to allow the opportunity to do something like this, like for what their songs are about, the successes that they've had, how much music they have, and how great of an ability they have to transform their songs into new sounds and new styles that really fit where they're playing, and where they're at in their lives, and how they can communicate those songs to everybody. And it's just a really, really interesting project, and it's so cool. And I didn't know what this project really entailed reading about it before I listened to it, but when you listen to it, it's not Queens of the Stone Age in an arena. Like they're not playing loudly. Like all of the songs are reworked. They have a string section. They had three strings players with them. They're not like there's no drumming or anything like that. And in an interview with Billboard, Josh said, he's like, we're so stripped down because that place is so stripped down, which makes the music so stripped down, which makes the words so stripped down. It would be ridiculous to try to rock down there. All of those decisions were made by that space. That space dictates everything. It's in charge. You do what you're told when you're in there. Which is like, I just want to know how that affected him. The fact that he's like, you do what you're told by the catacombs when you're in the catacombs. Like, I kind of got chills reading that. And certainly when I pressed play for the first time on the EP that they released of the music down there, like, you can kind of feel like whatever in terms of spirits are down there, you can kind of feel that through the music. And I think certainly through
Hmm.
their playing, like it's just this weird thing that's so unique.
Yeah, there was another quote that was talking like a lot of artists and people go down there for inspiration, and like they say the catacombs, like the imagination that like that's what the catacombs are for. It's like an imagination. It makes your mind run wild. So they were like when Josh approached them, and that's kind of they were like that's what this place is for in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously to a place for the dead, but also like um, kind of an inspiration and a place for imagination, and just like wonder. And I think Josh, he said that the first time that he went, I don't he said that the line was like 3.5 hours, and he's like, I'm not waiting for this. And he was like, I need to find a way to skip the line, so that's why. So he said the first time he was down there was this recording.
Wow.
Yeah, he said like when he went like 20 years ago or whatever, like he was amazed by it, but like the line was super long. So he was like, that was the first time he went down there, and it was just like, whoa, it was just like crazy. And yeah, I love that you do what you're told when you're in there. And it reminded me of there's off a Grateful Dead documentary, one of the tour managers, they I guess the band, they would always say the situation is the boss. Like, if the bus breaks down, like like the bus is the boss, and like the
Mm-hmm.
situation is it's broke down, and like we have to report to the boss, like whatever, like we have to until this is figured out, like it's in charge. And that's
Yeah.
how it's like going down there. It's like, all right, the catacombs, like the situation is the boss, like they're in charge right now, and all those people that you're playing for. And yeah, there was so you can watch it. They released this on Spotify, and you can listen on YouTube, but they released theatrical release, limited theatrical release, as we talked about. And but there was also like a brief preview, I guess, for
Yeah,
that.
the trailer of it, which is available
Yeah,
if you don't buy or rent the actual thing.
which is like a minute and a half, but like it looks sick,
Yeah.
and that man, those videos are probably going to be so cool. And yeah, it definitely got my eye, and makes me want to go listen to it. So hopefully I'll be able to, because yeah, the situation is the boss in this
Yeah.
case.
Well, and that's the thing, and I think the great artists recognize that. And like obviously it can be something as specific and as weighty as like being in the catacombs, and obviously that situation is going to dictate what you do. But like the greatest artists are always in tune with their environments, whether it's where they're cutting their new album, where they're recording, or what type of venue they're at, or like what the crowd is giving back to them. Like they're always kind of having that ongoing conversation with their environment, and they're able to kind of you know keep that communication going, and dictate back to their environment something that suits it, which Queens of the Stone Age were certainly able to do with this. And I was watching that trailer and reading about it before I even pressed play. And you just hear about the fact that it's like, they did this like full takes. They didn't do any sort of editing, no sort of dubbing in different sounds or anything. And they allowed
Yeah.
the environment to be, an instrument in a way. I
Oh
mean, you
yeah.
can hear at multiple different points. You can hear like almost like flickering lights sometimes. You can hear the water dripping, the water flowing, the echoes down there, and just like the natural resonance of what it's like down there. And you can like the environment comes through so clearly on these songs, and I'm glad that they let that shine through, because it's
Yeah.
such an asset. Like it really complements how they reworked these 5 songs that they ended up cutting down there.
Yeah, it really, like they stripped it down. They let the atmosphere take hold. And I don't believe we read this quote, but the people of the catacombs in Paris, they said that the catacombs of Paris are fertile ground for the imagination. It is important to us that artists take hold of this universe and offer a sensitive interpretation of it. Going underground and confronting reflections on death can be a deeply intense experience. Josh seems to have felt it in his body and soul, the full potential of this space. The recordings resonate perfectly with the mystery, history, and certain introspection, notably perceptible in the subtle use of the silence within the catacombs. That's a pretty damn good explanation of what you're going to hear on this album and what you do. Like we've listened to it, and we're about to get into it a little bit. But just like you said, it's like they brought down strings, and you have these, you know, like you said, the drips in the background. I mean, it was all one take.
Mm-hmm.
Josh was on one of the interviews I was listening to. He's like, we went down there, and like we played it as a live show. We didn't stop. We didn't do anything like for the recordings. Like we played, and he's like, he said in the first song, like he like choked up, or his voice like cracked, and normally you'd stop, but he's like, no one's gonna hear that. And he's like, I can't stop this train, right? This runaway train,
Yeah.
in the words of John Mayer. But like,
Stop this train.
yeah, I can't stop this train. But like, it's there's a raw aspect of it, and there's like it's almost like it's like the Paris version of the MTV Unplugged.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
It's like this is like the Queens of the Stone Age's Unplugged session. Like, yeah, we're gonna go do it in the House of the Dead. And man, it is cool. Like, I've been to some beautiful places in this world. Joshua Tree, Zion with you,
Mhm.
both of them with you.
Mount Rainier
Just
you've been to, like,
yeah, just seeing like wonder and seeing like vast stuff. And then there's like this underground or like the deep sea, and like just the same way that these landscapes fill you up and like give you these emotions. I can imagine that going deep down and seeing a bunch of skulls or a bunch of femurs and different bones like lined up. I mean, that is going to give you a feeling that you just cannot get at your local Walmart. Stuff like,
Yeah.
you're not, that's just like not something you're going to feel. So, and that makes you feel alive. No pun,
Yeah.
even being down there around the dead. I mean, whew,
Yeah, like
gives
I don't think there's
chills.
anybody out there that like that experience wouldn't have an impact on them. And so kind of getting into the five songs that they chose to record down there. I mean, Queens of Stone Age, they've got damn near 30 years of music at this point. Innumerable directions to go in. And I love the mix of songs, because it's such a small amount of recording time. Like the EP's, I think it's 27 minutes or something. But you have songs as new as 2023's In Times New Roman, and you have songs as old as 2005's From Lullabies to Paralyze. So going through the five songs that they chose to cut down there, they had a mashup of Running Joke and Paper Machete, the former from Era Vulgaris and the latter from In Times New Roman. Then they played Calypsia from Like Clockwork in 2013, Villains of Circumstance from the Villains album in 2017, Suture Up Your Future from Era Vulgaris as well, and then I Never Came from Lullabies to Paralyze. And kind of coming to this, relative to the amount of music that they have, like I am still in my relative infancy when it comes to gaining a full working knowledge of their discography and like what they sounded like in 2003 versus what they sounded like in 2017 and everything. And this was such a cool thing because none of that necessarily mattered because they reworked all of these songs for the space. We mentioned the fact like there's no drums. It's like you hear chains and you hear chopsticks and the things that they were able to do with the synth and the things that the strings players were able to do to kind of bring the mood up and just, in certain points, like give this weird sense of foreboding and death. But then also like at different parts of the songs, there's kind of like a heartbeat going on. And it's just so much versatility within these five songs here.
When I first listened to it, I would, the first thing I thought of was I thought of Mark Lanigan, and because he spent some time sang on, I think I just looked, there was the
Couple of
Rated R
albums, yeah.
album and the Song for the Dead, and and Josh's voice, and it may be because there's not this big band and this big sound around it, but like his voice clearly stands out and it has a different tone to it than I'm used to. And that could just be
Mhm.
the inspiration of the dead around him. But
Yeah.
like it made me, I was like, dude, I would have loved to hear, Mark down there singing
Oh
with them. Like
man.
he would have loved it. It would have
Fuck.
been so good. And, it, yeah, it just, it would have been really, really great. And like I said, I think I said it to you before, but like, there was something that I kept hearing through the vocals that I
Yeah, you
couldn't really.
texted me about this. You're like, this sounds like somebody, but I can't quite put my finger on it.
Yeah, and then I was like, I finally got to it. And I was like, I'm hearing like so much David Bowie in this, and I'm like I mean, I like David Bowie, right? I'm not like the biggest. I don't know all of his stuff, but when you get into it, you hear there's this performative aspect. There's this like just like imagination. The way that he sings is so like it's like he's like questioning things, like his tone, the way he kind of like sets it up, and but it's also big. It's like a Broadway type of big, and the way he holds on the notes for such a long time. And I'm listening to Josh do all these things, like the way he's hanging on the notes and the vibrato or however you call it, like moving up and down, like, and he channeled this. He channeled this Bowie to his like to this cat in the caverns, and like
Yeah.
it's such a performance. Like it's more than just like singing songs. It has this like it's not Broadway, but he has this like it's like a bigger than
Theatrical
album.
almost.
Yeah, it's like a theatrical sound to it that just goes so well with obviously the strings. Like
Yeah.
it felt bigger.
Yeah, this was so exciting for me, and this will hardly be a revelation for people that are fans of Queen of the Stone Age, but like my path into Queens of the Stone Age honestly was like I really liked Caius. Like I loved that stoner rock thing that they were doing in the early 90s. I loved the fact that Josh was a touring member of the Screaming Trees during the Dust era, kind of like towards the end of that band. And I loved the fact that Mark Lanigan had some bits of Queens of the Stone Age. Like that was my path in, combined with the fact that people were always telling me to listen to them. And then one of my really, really good buddies, Tom, is like his favorite band in the world. Like he's got one sticker on his car and it's like a Queens of the Stone Age sticker. And like just like every one of those elements has just kind of pushed me and like nudged me a little bit further into checking them out. And like when I started listening to Queens of the Stone Age, like I just loved the way the instruments sounded, and it was just so unique and just so powerful. And it just like gives you so much energy. But like something like this like makes unbelievably apparent to me like how talented of a vocalist Josh Homme is. And it's not something that I've necessarily thought about with intent before, or maybe even in my own head given the credit that's due, because I was always like, there's like he's an unbelievable guitarist and a great songwriter, and like that's what I'm thinking about when I hear him play. But like down here, like there's not many other distractions from his voice. Like, you know, the instruments are there, obviously, all the guys are down there and the string sections are down there, but like I mean his voice is making this happen. And how it plays with those instruments and how it plays with the environment down there, and you hear the water dripping. I mean, you even hear Josh breathing throughout this, and it's just so raw and so perfect. And like, you know, this band, like they're not a group that needs anything extra aside from like what they have in their hands and what they have in their lungs. And it's just a really, really, really cool project. And just kind of getting into some of these songs, was there a favorite track that you had listening to this?
Off the top of my head, I feel like, um, no, right? I think they're all like incredible, but I think the second song, however you say that,
Calypsia?
Calypsia, yeah,
Yeah.
Calypsia. That was like, I mean, the strings were really alive in that one,
Yeah.
and
There's
that's where I
some
got the
glockenspiel going on in that one too, I think.
yeah, and this had like this was the one that made me really think of Bowie, and it's like,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's really solid, and like I said, the voice is kind of, I don't know, aggressive at times for being
Yeah.
down there, and yeah, I think that's like my favorite. I mean, I've listened to it a few times through, and I don't know, maybe hard to pick pick a favorite, but they don't all sound the same. They're all very different, but they have like the same setup, so it's kind of nice because if you're in the mood for this, I don't know what the best setting is to listen to this. That
I
was
don't know, man.
another
I got to turn the lights
thought I
off and put
had.
some candles on, you know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah.
I go into my own basement. I hope I don't find skulls, but I'll be in the basement.
Be in the attic, and yeah, put something on this, put some skulls on the screen, maybe.
Yeah, dude. And even like for
What
me,
about
like
you?
with Calypsia, like I loved this rendition of it. And as I said before, like I'm not well read enough on the band to like pick out particularly like whose backing vocals belong to who, but I know Troy Van Leeuwen and Michael Schumann both provide backing vocals on here. But like some of the harmonies that they provide behind Josh's voice is really, really beautiful. And it's just kind of combining like the three voices with the strings is just really, really powerful. I think my favorite track was Villains of Circumstance. Like I love the fact that it opens up and you can hear the water dripping, you know, wherever they are down there. And you know, just kind of speaking of some of the lyrical content of the songs that they chose, like with Villains of Circumstance, there's a
Crazy, yeah.
line, I know life moves on, that's what scares me so. I have no intentions of letting go. And like that's just such a weird juxtaposition to have while you're surrounded by, you know, quite literally millions of bone fragments and bones of people that have passed on. You know, and the fact that like life and time moves on and like these people's mortal remains are there forever. And it's like it's kind of, you know, like your life is ending obviously, but like your physical matter is not letting go. And I just, you know, with how many songs they have in their discography, like they were obviously were very intentional about which songs they chose, I think, in terms of the lyrics, and they just knocked it out of the park. Like that one kind of stopped me in my tracks here a little bit. And the chorus of that song is just like over and over again, always, evermore, and on and on. And it leads into a string solo at one point, which is just really, really beautiful. And I just kind of love the juxtaposition there of like, you know, people's lives are obviously finite, and like they're the people that they're surrounded by, their lives ended hundreds of years ago, but like there's a big part of them that's still there. And it's just weird. Like I'm not a big hugely like spiritual person in this way, but like I can't help but feel listening to these songs like the spirits of those people that are down there kind of find their way through the music into you when you're listening, which is not something that I was expecting to feel because, like I said, I don't typically think of things like that. But I definitely felt that, which is a weird feeling.
Yeah, it makes me really intrigued to watch the performance and to see how they do it, what they focus on, because I could see them doing like shots of the catacombs and kind of moving around and
Yeah.
obviously having the music in the background, but taking time to focus elsewhere than just on
Yeah.
the people playing. And
Yeah.
I think,
We need to see this thing.
yeah, and I think it would really, yeah, enhance all those feelings that you were just talking about. Obviously, if
Hmm.
we can visualize them in our head and hear, the souls of these millions of people.
Yeah.
What would the video aspect give to that? So I'm
Hmm.
glad I'm glad they went with that side of it. So we'll see how it's produced,
Yeah.
to like how clean it is, or if they use any, yeah, like kind of what they do
Yeah.
theatrically.
I'm
'Cause
it's black
it's
and
all
white.
artistic.
Like, yeah.
It's got to be, yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's so fucking cool, man. I have a couple other points on the last two songs. Suture Up Your Future, like I love that it opens with Josh just saying, when you're going through hell, keep going. Because
the song was
obviously,
really good for me.
yeah,
I
man,
like
because
that
like
song a lot.
where he was obviously, and then also like what he himself was dealing with at the time with all of his health things going on, like kind of fucked. And I just love this song that like the bass takes center stage here and is like the main driver of the instrumentation, and like they got the synth thing going on there, and like two sounds that like I wouldn't put together, I wouldn't have the knowledge to put together in that space, but like when you put them together, like it just works so unbelievably well. Like that was a really really that portion of that song was a big high point for me. And then the last one, I never came, like the chorus of this song is like the closest they came to like rocking down there. And it just, I think it suits the space, as I said, really well. And it's always interesting too whenever bands tour with strings, it's like sometimes for one or two songs that they need the strings for, and then aside from that they're just kind of up there looking pretty or whatever. But they deployed the strings so well.
It was
And
everything, yeah.
yeah, and whoever was responsible for the arrangements and like when to come in and like when to use those strings or not, it was just right. Like it wasn't too much, it wasn't too little. Like when you needed it, it was there. And I felt the same thing kind of about the last song here. And it's just like it's so foreboding. And I love the line in this song: "The dogs are loose, I'm on to you." It's just it's perfect. It makes me think of that Lanigan lyric. Living's not hard, it's just not easy. Always keeping the dogs off.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's resonated heavily the last few months. Yeah, the lyrics. I mean, there's you could pick any of these songs, and they were all handpicked um, by the band, by Josh, and I think they all kind of embody what they were feeling down there. And every song is a lyrical, um, box that you can unpack and look into, and it's really cool. And these aren't new songs, so like you guys, there's probably plenty of conversations already around it, but
Right.
having it in a new setting and a new arrangement, I think is pretty cool. And
Pretty
I think
damn cool.
yeah, songs speak to you differently when they're arranged differently, and have people do like sing them differently, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. I believe the Afghan Wigs did a version of what was it? Um, shoot, it was a song of the week one time. Let me see. Hold
Oh
on,
man, that's gonna be
I'm
tough
right
to
there. Every little thing she does is magic,
Oh, no
and
kidding.
it is like this. This everyone knows
Yes,
the
yeah,
song,
100%.
but then the Afghan Wigs took it and made this, like, they slowed it down and they added it. It's so, like, his voice is so raspy, and it really is a totally different song.
Yeah.
But the lyrics, can be taken differently, and it's so cool how you can, yeah, take a song and arrange it differently, and evoke different feelings. And I think that this display by the band is a great testament to just how artists can work. And I mean, because it's all art, right? I mean, they chose to be down there, and you can hear it in the songs, and that's why we love this stuff.
Yeah, dude. We absolutely love this stuff. And it was funny, like I was just texting my buddy Tom yesterday about Queens of the Stone Age, and he was like, you know, a song on one of their albums is one thing, and then the same song live like sounds totally different, and it's like hearing a new song, which is like my favorite thing about seeing music live or hearing music that was performed live, and it's Tom's favorite thing. I'm sure it's way up there for you, and this is just like the purest iteration of that. And I'm always such a sucker for like bands that rock, when they kind of show their delicate side, and they can do it with it still sounding sincere, and it's still kind of scratching that itch. It's so special, like to have that range, and it's really really impressive. And they couldn't have come at a better time for me, that I'm really diving into the pool. Yeah, so it's a good time to be me, and a good time to be getting into Queens of the Stone Age. It's long overdue, obviously, but that's the fun thing. Like and even with this podcast, man, like we've been doing it for such a long time, and like it's taken us years to get to certain topics, and we get there and we find out that we love stuff, and I think at the end of, like, we all listen to music to get excited about it and to be impacted by it. So I'm very aware of it, just because we talk about it so much on this show, that when it happens and I'm getting excited by something new, like I'm really really grateful for it.
For sure. So this will be good. We'll see. We have to look and see how we can watch it and take it in another way. So good call, taking this album.
Yeah, good pivot. I think I'm glad that we can enter this one into the record.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on the album? I mean, I think everything has been said as far as what we can do on a podcast. You just got to go listen to it.
Yes.
And
yeah.
You'll know exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, and you'll be affected by it in a big way.
Yeah, so take the time, go listen, enjoy it, and it's only 5 songs, 27 minutes, so it won't take up that much time. But I guess I would say do a concentrated listen. I've been trying to do this. I've been trying to do this a little bit more. But back in college, our buddy Ian, Ian Jones, he just got married. Shout out to Ian. But we would do this thing where we'd come home and we would call it decompression time, where you turn off all the lights. If you have a candle, maybe you can turn the candle on, but you just lay down and you'd play it, and you'd put a few songs on, and there's a few songs that we really liked. I mean, you could do the kind of the classical, like Explosions in the Sky, or there's like a really big Mumford song we played with, like, and there's an African artist, and it was like just really big. And you do a few songs that like really make you feel, and what songs I'm talking about. And I feel like this album would be really fun to do that. That would be
a great
turn
pick.
Off the lights, lay down, put yourself in a reclined position, and close your eyes, and really let it affect you. It's a
100%,
special type of listening experience. So, and this
dude,
top contender for it.
Big time, man. It's another good topic. I'm glad that, like, I always think too, when we get into topics that were unexpected, or bands that we haven't talked about, like, these different bands kind of become a part of our story here, and that's always fun to kind of, as I just said, enter them into the record. And we go through our different eras of being
Queens of the Stone Age guys.
Yeah, dude, I think we're becoming Queens of the Stone Age guys.
You definitely are. You've seen them. You have a few badges from the road.
I'm doing the work. Yeah, man.
No one can call you a poser because you've been on tour.
Hell no. Like, I'm a poser, don't get me wrong, but just in different ways.
Right. Yeah, but like, you've been there twice now. If you one time, you can still be called a poser.
That's true.
Twice?
Yeah.
Came back for more?
Yeah, man. So, you better believe it.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed this one.
Yeah.
Do you want to pick a song from you can pick whatever you want.
Yeah, there's been a song in my mind for like 2 weeks, but we just haven't gotten to them, because I think a couple weeks, like, we've been very time constrained, and I haven't had the the length to talk about it. But I'm sure you've listened to it by now and that you dig it. But my song of the week is going to be the new single from Petey, called "Breathing the Same Air." And Ethan, this song fucked me up. Like, it got me really really good. And it just kind of, like, it verbalized a thing in my life that I'm very aware of, that it happens, and have like conflicting feelings about it. And it's just I know you can relate to it. In the lyrics, it's the song is like two guys going out, like just kind of like hanging out. And the lyrics go on to say, "We sat in the corner, had the bar hand throw the game on. No one asked a single question that meant anything to anyone." And then they go on to say, "And you know that my only intention is to be there when you call me. Sometimes breathing the same air has got to be enough." And I texted with one of my buddies, my buddy Austin, that I haven't seen in about a year and a half, and we shared some thoughts about this song, and like the amount of times that like I see my friends intermittently, especially the ones that I don't live nearby. You go out, you have some beers or whatever, and like you talk about nothing at all, right? Like it's very common that like I'll go out with my friends, even the ones that live around here, and then another friend of mine or like my mom would be like, "Oh, like what were you up to last week?" I was like, "Oh, like I saw like X, Y, and Z. I saw these guys." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like what are they up to? Like what are they doing for work now? Like what's going on?" I'm like, "Mom, honestly, like I don't know. Like we just sat there, like I couldn't tell you what I talked about. We're not solving the world's problems. We're not like getting
Of course.
caught up to date on everything that's going on in everybody's lives, but like it's just so simple. Like you're just spending time with them, and like just like the song says, like that's like sometimes that's all you need from everybody. And it's important to do that, and then I think it's equally as important to like be available to do that with your boys, because
100%.
time goes by so much quicker than you think it does. And I've really been feeling that about just my life and a lot of my relationships that I have in my life with different friends of mine, because like you know what happens to me is like I'll see somebody, or like I'll be at somebody's wedding, and then in my head I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I just saw them. Like I was just at their wedding, and I was just at this person's wedding and I saw them." And then next thing you know, like that was 16 months ago, that was 2 years ago, that was 3 years ago, and like all of a sudden you haven't seen him so recently. Um and yeah, this song just really articulated that feeling that I think everybody has as they get older, and it's harder to spend more time with everybody. And one more lyric in the song, it says, "Let's grab another beer. We're not getting any younger,"
Hmm.
which is something that I've been. It's since this song dropped like 3 weeks ago. Like I haven't stopped thinking about like
Yeah.
these thoughts.
Yeah, I always had a joke with my buddies. We'd come and see each other after a long time, and we'd start drinking. It would be like, "Hey, you good?" "Yeah, I'm good." And it's like, "All right, let's start drinking. Have a few beers." And then halfway through, or my my mom or somebody like, what do they do? I'm like, honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like they work and they're doing well. And sometimes, I mean, there's friends. I'm like, "So what do you do again?" And they tell me
Yes.
their job, and like I'm really close friends with them, but I don't know what they do for the job.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
happens to me all the time.
I'm like, "So what do you?" I mean, I do it with you too. It's like, "So what's your job again?" Like I don't even know your company's name. I always
Right.
forget. I probably do, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, the small talk. It's like people say they hate small talk. It's like I won't have small talk with my good friends. We go right into like just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, for my song, I'll do another PD song, and As Two People Drift Apart,
Yeah.
another song
Another
that came
single.
on
Yeah,
that.
it just came out.
And my one of my Andrew Darwin, he loves PD. We've went to a few shows together, but he sent it because he had a friend that he felt the same way. And the premise of the song, it's like people drift apart, no particular reason. Time just passes, and all of a sudden, like it's farther than you want it to be. And yeah, the second verse, it says, "The funny thing about time, they say it heals all wounds. It seems that ours have festered in the absence of the truth. A great magnetic field directed north and south. I could kiss you on the head, or should I hit you in the mouth?" And yeah, it's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it's also really true. Time passes, and all of a sudden you just feel so disconnected from some people. But the
Yeah.
nice part is like just getting in the same vicinity of those people bring you back. So
Yeah, and like a lot of times too, like doesn't have to be like a big grand thing that you end up doing with them. Like if you can find a couple of hours like in people's travels, and get together with them, like sometimes that's all you need.
critical.
Yeah, exactly. Like the last lyrics to "Breathe in the Same Air," it's, "I am who I am, you are who you'll be. Yeah, well if that's all right with you, then that's all right with me." And I mean, that's really all there is to it, man. Like the people that are in your life at this point, they're in your life for a reason. And, little things that keep them in your life, and it's important to commit yourself to doing those things, and I'm trying to be better about that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, on top of this wonderful album from the Catacombs, you also have 2 PD songs to listen to. New album is very soon. It's in July, correct?
Yeah, I think July 11th it's coming out,
Yeah,
something like
so the
that.
next 2 weeks.
Pretty
so
soon.
We'll be listening to that. Maybe we'll finally do that PD episode we've been talking about. Even though
We've been teasing it.
Yeah, we got to have him back on. I really want that.
I would love that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
So I give you at least 7 songs to go and listen to. And
Oh, yeah.
all right, everybody. That wraps it all up for us. So
That's it.
We'll try and do better next time. We'll be here next Monday. You can count on it. So enjoy your week whenever you're listening to this. And thank you again.
Thanks, everybody. Be good. Lonzer.